headed to Indy.
This was going to happen. Carson Wentz did not want to be back in Philadelphia.
I believe in Carson Wentz. When it's right, he's a top 6 or 7 player in the NFL.
Carson Wentz now is under more pressure than he's ever been in the NFL.
There's always pressure. Obviously we have high expectations, a one day at a time mindset. That's the mindset of this team, and that's the mindset that I'm going to take every single day I come to work.
Hi, hello, welcome into First Take on this Friday Eve. Good news out of Naptown. Max Kellerman, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Stephen A. Smith, how we doing from the West Coast?
What up? Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing?
Oh, I am
Seems so
excellent.
happy since he's been out in LA. It's unbelievable.
I always tell him. No. Hold up. I always tell you. He said, you seem so happy. And I said, I always tell him, he seems so much happier in LA. He's just living LA. And I love having him in studio, don't get me wrong. But it's like you belong in that sunshine. You just seem more relaxed. Like I like LA, Steve.
The sunshine does do a little bit for you. I mean, as I've told people, that statement, that adage, the sun will shine tomorrow.
Certainly it will.
It really, really, really is true in Southern California.
That's true 300 times a year in LA.
I will say that. I mean, hey, it's just.
Well, listen, you work very hard, and I'm glad you get to enjoy it sometimes and be out there.
By the way, Molly,
a lot of things you're working on out there.
I'm out here. I got to film more scenes for Blackish today. I got.
Yeah, you do.
I got to do that more today. You know what I'm saying?
That's an amazing show. I love that show. Talented cast. It's hilarious. It's so good.
They're phenomenal, no question.
How many episodes?
Are we going to get any behind the scenes? Like, what's the deal?
No, I don't think we're going to do that. I mean, that's up to them. Them. I mean, I got to have my people talk to their people, and we figure it out, you know what I'm saying? But I would tell you, Anthony Anderson being that superstar that he is, I mean, he going to make that call.
Molly, what, we got a social call? We're going to do this show eventually.
Okay. All right. Can you guys tell I don't get out much these days? All right. Tea time's over. Good news out of Indy. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson are trending toward recovering from foot injuries in time for next month's regular season opener against the Seahawks, sources told Chris Mortensen. Now, Wentz, who underwent surgery August 2nd, will start his rehab next week, was at the Colts training camp practice Tuesday without a walking boot and without limping. The Colts announced last week that both players would be sidelined 5 to 12 weeks after undergoing operations to repair the same foot injury. The team hopes to have a better indication of both players' rehabilitation status once they get past the 2-week post-surgery mark. Now, Wentz had a career year when he last played for the Colts head coach Frank Reich. Reich was the Eagles' offensive coordinator in 2017 when Wentz posted a career-best 78.5 QBR and 33 passing touchdowns. Max.
Yep.
You have been, I would say, a little critical of Carson Wentz. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, I expect a lot out of him.
Yeah, yep. Right? Because, he had a breakout season, won Sylvania, the whole thing.
I was calling him MVP that year.
Yep, okay.
Until he got hurt.
Do you believe that he can have a bounce-back season this year now that he's with such a talented team and with his former coach that he had success with?
No, because see those stats we just showed? When we say bounce back, that's what we're really talking about, everybody.
Yeah.
Can he get back to the heights he hit? Frank Reich, right? Oh, what's the excuse? You got a team around you, Frank Reich? No, because in 2017, Carson Wentz wasn't just a starting quarterback. He was the best player in football. If the season would have continued like that, he was going to win MVP. Now, since then, Mahomes has come around and some guys better than Wentz was even then. But certainly a bounce-back season would mean he's elite again. Elite. He has not been elite since then. Don't forget, the next year was a disappointment. They were 5-6, under 5-5, 5-6, 500 or just under 500. When he went down, team was flat. They were going to miss the playoffs. Foles came in again. They caught fire, made the playoffs, won a playoff game without Wentz. And since then, it's been down, down, down. And I know other people have been saying, no, he's really good. But I kept noticing, and it continued downward trend, and then eventually he lost his job. So can he bounce back from a guy who can't start? Yes, from that he can. Because you can't do any worse. He lost his job last year because he was the worst starter in football. He will not be that again. Did Frank Reich help him when he was in Philly? Absolutely, yes. That's what I hear. Doug Peterson was the head coach, but it was Frank Reich and DiFilippo who were really the guys working with him at the time. But you know something? DiFilippo is in Chicago. And Frank Reich, while he did good work with Carson Wentz, from everything I hear out of Philly, he was the good cop. DiFilippo was the bad cop. And you know what Carson Wentz needs right now? He needs the bad cop. He needs the guy to tell him, to hold him accountable every step of the way. Not just to, so much of Wentz's game is these amazing athletic plays that very few other people can do. He's a tough guy, play through injury, high threshold for pain, and make these amazing plays so that the little details go by the wayside. DiFilippo was that guy, not Reich, according to everything I hear, Stephen A., and that's the guy he would need, at least. He is not going to bounce back to what he was in 2017.
I feel where you're coming from, and I understand it, and I'll give you credit where credit is due because it's consistent with what you've been saying. Fair enough. But I think that Carson Wentz could definitely have a bounce-back year this year. I got a lot of faith in him. I think that last year was an extreme aberration. I think that we've learned in the aftermath of seeing the things that have transpired in Philadelphia that it was an absolute mess. He wasn't on the same page as Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson wasn't on the same page as Howie Roseman, and as a result, the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, found himself in a quandary because Roseman was a guy, if you recall, back in the days when Chip Kelly was there, once upon a time, once Chip Kelly first arrived, he was given all that power. And once we realized that he was an absolute mess, what they did was the Howie Roseman, they had moved out, they had brought back in, empowered him, ultimately winning a Super Bowl, particularly once Carson Wentz went down and Nick Foles came in and filled in as admirably as he did. But then from that day on, Carson Wentz had something to prove. They had to make a decision about him between Nick Foles. Nick Foles and him were battling for the locker room because Nick Foles was beloved. Carson Wentz, not so much. Even though a lot of dudes respected him, other dudes were a bit divided on him, to say the least. And then you had an issue with strategy and all of that stuff. So the Philadelphia Eagles situation was an absolute mess. They should have been running the ball more, shouldn't have passed as much. Some of the play calling that Doug Peterson was doing, Roseman and those guys weren't happy about it. That's the situation that existed in Philadelphia. That's not what's going on here in Indianapolis. Frank Reich is the man. You even know his relationship with Carson Wentz dating back to their days in Philadelphia. Jonathan Taylor is coming off an 1,100-yard rushing season, averaging 5 yards a carry. T.Y. Hilton is still there. Mike Pittman is still there. So when you look at some of the weapons, particularly with the offensive line, and Quentin Nelson expected to be back for game one, just like Carson Wentz due to that foot surgery, I think that when you look at the personnel surrounding Carson Wentz, it says that there's no way in hell this year is going to be as bad as last year, and that's all you need for Indianapolis to really make a run for their division crown.
Oh, he'll be better. As I said, how could he be worse? But, see, I don't agree that it was just a mess last year, and that's why Carson Wentz, I saw a downward trend. Yes, and the year before. That's my point. Remember when everyone was like, oh, he's in the MVP conversation almost, Carson Wentz, the way he carried the Eagles to the division crown. What I saw in the second half of 2019 especially, but it even predated that, was a guy whose every single part of his game had gone backwards. Every part of his game. And he was turning the ball over on third down in the fourth quarter, and they would be lucky to recover the ball. And then he would make a spectacular play. Yep. But it was all this regression in every single category as a quarterback. And he seemed to think he was the cat's meow.
Simple question before we move on, Molly. And it's a question to both of y'all. We're talking about the quarterback position. So my relationship with the coach is not the greatest. My relationship inside the locker room wasn't the greatest because it was a locker room divided because you had a lot of people who felt that you should roll with Nick Foles, and obviously that didn't happen. You know that the head coach and the GM ain't on the VP of football operations ain't on the same page with him and Howie Roseman. And you're also in the middle of all of that because you don't necessarily vibe with the coach. You're not vibing with the locker room. And you know that the organization is going to at least have to consider trading you. So remember, Nick Sirianni is the coach now. Okay? The head coach is gone. All right? Your quarterback is gone. You got a lot of situations. You got a lot of stuff that has happened. What quarterback do you know succeeds under those circumstances?
Yeah, and I want to add one more thing to buffer that point, Stephen A. And you mentioned the O-line. Wentz was sacked 50 times last season. That's the most in the NFL. And now he joins a team with the second best O-line in the NFL. So he has to be thrilled about having better protection. I get that some of it's his fault.
Not some of it, all of it. All of it. Molly, Jalen Hurts wasn't sacked. Jalen Hurts wasn't
He
touched that
sacked
much.
50 times, and every single time is his fault.
No, of
Come
course
on,
not.
Max.
It's a team game. The point is to point to his sack total and blame the Eagles. Why wasn't Jalen Hurts getting roughed up like that? And Jalen Hurts is not exactly an all-pro quarterback. You can't just, and the offense was working better with Jalen Hurts. This is what I mean. So many excuses are made for Carson Wentz. He was awful last year, and he was bad the year before, too.
Can we all agree he's on a team with a better O-line?
No question.
We all agree on that.
Look, no excuses. As Stephen A. would say, look at the Colts roster. No excuses.
I need to, we did your quarterback. Now let me get to Stephen A's quarterback. So it was revealed on Hard Knocks that Dak Prescott had 2 surgeries this offseason, not just after the gruesome October injury in the Giants game we all saw. The second surgery was to strengthen his deltoid ligament, clean out the ankle, and make it more structurally sound. It was not related to the October injury, but was reportedly found after doctors went in for that initial surgery. Now, on the bright side, after consecutive days of throwing, Prescott has experienced no residual soreness in his right shoulder strain and is hoping to return to practice on a full-time basis next week and potentially play August 22nd against the Houston Texans. But then the Cowboys' official Twitter account tweeting this: it's not a setback, it's not a reason to worry, but quarterback Dak Prescott is planning on getting another MRI. Stephen A., is too much of the Cowboys season riding on Dak Prescott right now?
Is that a trick question? I mean, it shouldn't be, but when you look at it, I mean, it really shouldn't be. But I'm just saying, I mean, the legitimate argument is it probably is. I mean, who the hell is their backup? I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering right now, and a part of me, see, I'm trying not to laugh, and the reason I'm trying not to laugh, Max and Molly, is because of this. I don't want Dak Prescott injured. I don't wish that on anybody. I want him to be healthy and to go out there and play. I actually hope he has a good season. I just hope for Cowboy fans' sake they lose, because I don't feel like hearing those nauseating, disgusting fans. I really don't. I can't stand Cowboy fans. But here's the deal. Isn't it amazing that not even 2 preseason games have been played, and all of these damn headlines about Dak's health? And I'm sorry, I mean, forgive me for asking this question, but since you damn near cracked your leg in half, okay, and was out with the surgery and everything else, how in the hell are we having a situation where right now Dak Prescott's having MRIs on his shoulder and stuff like that? I mean, what the hell were you doing in the offseason? What's going on? Were you throwing from a wheelchair or something? Were you throwing on crutches? What were you doing? Why are you having arm issues? I just don't understand it. I really don't. But in the end, it's just another thing I always tell you. Just wait. Just be patient. They won't let you down. These are the Cowboys that we're talking about here. Something will happen. Something. And I don't know what it is. But every single year, something happens. It's who they are. It's just who they are. And this is the latest. Now I got my man Louis Riddick. I'm watching Get Up this morning before I come in. And my poor brother Louis Riddick, he got to think about calling Monday Night Football games. And guess what? When it comes to the Cowboys, I mean, it might not be Dak Prescott. I mean, Louis Riddick is sitting up there looking all the... I'm very concerned now. My concerns are growing. It's always something. This is who they are. So once again, Max, just wait. Yeah. Just wait. If it's not this, it'll be something else. It's who they are. They're never going to change, Max. They're going to be the same old way, Max.
Well, they'll never let you down. They don't let you down. They let other people down, but certainly not you.
Yes.
But Stephen A., don't get ahead of yourself, because you want them to reach certain heights so that the fall for the fans is more painful, right? For the Cowboys
I don't want
fans.
them to stink too early.
You don't want to
but
fall off the first floor.
But their schedule says they could even win some games without Dak Prescott early. So we'll see.
Here's the thing. First of all, it's hilarious to me that the Cowboys tweet that out. You remember Naked Gun, Stephen A.? Leslie Nielsen has the bullhorn. He's like, nothing to see here. Please disperse. And there's, the guy's the chalk outline and everything. Right. It's a crime scene. Nothing to see. That's when I see a tweet like that from the Cowboys. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Don't worry. He's getting an MRI on his On his shoulder? Mm-hmm. You mean the shoulder that it was reported that you found out during Hard Knocks? There were 2 shoulder surgeries. That's the shoulder he's getting an MRI on? If I'm a Cowboys fan and I see that tweet and don't panic, now I'm more panicked. What are you talking? not a reason to worry. Then why is he getting an MRI? You know why? Because he's worried. Okay, that's number one. Number two, as it relates to relying too heavily on Dak Prescott, this is the NFL. You must rob Peter to pay Paul. If you have a dude who's coming up and you got to give him $40 million a year in a long-term deal, guess what? Ain't a lot of money left for a backup quarterback. What are you going to do, draft the guy? Like what they did with Wentz? They knew, well, that was different. They knew Wentz was going in the wrong direction. Spend a second-round draft pick, and Wentz is like, yo, what's going on? What are they going to do? What the Packers did? You're trying to get a talent in there behind Aaron Rodgers. He wants to leave. You're going to bring in a young kid with potential behind Dak after you just gave him a contract? You're not going to do that. What, are you going to go get a veteran? Well, yeah, you get who you can get. You're not going to spend real money on a veteran. How much money do you want to tie up in the quarterback position? You know who backs up Patrick Mahomes? Chad Henne. If Patrick Mahomes goes down, season over. Knock wood, that doesn't happen. But this is the case for every team with an extremely high-paid franchise quarterback. Of course the season's riding on them. One last thing, Stephen A. When we say the season's riding on them, let's not forget. Last time Dak was healthy for a whole season, they went 8-8. So what's really riding on him? A 500 record?
Hey, Max and Molly, based on what we're talking about here and some of the just the hints that we see about the season that the Dallas Cowboys are having, I sat here just now, and in this moment, I have made a decision. I think I'm going to go to a Dallas Cowboy game this year at AT&T Stadium. I think I'm going to show up, y'all. I think I'm going to show up in Big D. Yes, I mean, I got to time it for when, at a time when if they lose, it's going to really make them miserable. I mean, they really going to be depressed about it. I got to pick it. I got to pick the right game.
You got to wait till they have a good record.
Where they all hyped and they hyped and ready to roll and everybody's ecstatic and excited. And I know they're gonna fall. It's got to be one of those games, and I'm just gonna show up at AT&T Stadium, y'all. I'm gonna show up there. I think I'm gonna go to a game there this year. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up. Yes.
I'm trying to see what game that might be. The Giants in October.
Yeah.
The Eagles in late September.
No.
There's many.
No, it'll be.
There's many he could look at. I just want to be clear though. It was 2 ankle surgeries that he had, guys. 2 ankles.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I said shoulder.
Yeah, because now he's dealing with the shoulder.
Now I'm saying he got the ankle surgery. How dare him have a shoulder injury now? You had ankle surgery.
Yeah.
You want throwing? What were you doing? Throwing football on crutches?
No, but that's important because I made it sound like he already had 2 surgeries on the shoulder. He's getting an MRI. That's right.
Okay, cool. All right, let's keep it rolling, fellas. KD locked in, of course, and the Nets are looking to do the same with both James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Contract extension soon. So which of these 3 are under the most pressure? The fellas do not see eye to eye. And it's a new era in the Big Easy with Drew Brees no longer there. But why hasn't Sean Payton named a starter yet? And what does this say about the Saints' outlook? More First Take after. Brooklyn's Big 3 securing the bag. Kevin Durant already got paid, signing a reported 4-year, $198 million contract extension. And now the Nets fully expect to have all of their Big 3 signed to contract extensions before training camp even starts. General Manager Sean Marks said as much Wednesday before their Summer League game against the Bucks. Kevin Durant already has been extended, and Marks confirmed long-term deals for the Nets' other superstars, James Harden and Kyrie Irving, shouldn't be far off either. All right, so Max, everybody's getting paid before the start of the season. Tell me this, which member of the Nets' Big 3 is under the most pressure then?
Easily Kevin Durant. I'd say Kevin Durant. Easily Kevin
He's
Durant.
like the only one I'd say who isn't under pressure.
In fact, I would say he's the most in the NBA by far. You see, Kevin Durant, all you have to do is imagine he's LeBron James. That's all you got to do. Kevin Durant is considered by many, maybe even most at this moment, the best player in basketball. He has a squad with him that will be, unquestionably, if all healthy, far and away, the greatest offense in the history of American team sports. Now, I was skeptical when they first put it together because I thought, but it'll be the worst defense ever, right? Stephen A., within a couple of weeks, they were kind of a mid-pack defense when those guys started getting healthy.
You didn't seem to notice.
That's all it's going to take for them to crush everyone. They were mopping the floor with the eventual champion Bucks, 2 of the Big 3. So what does this mean? It means that KD, the best player in the world, if everyone's healthy, must win the chip. Must. There is a lot of downside. There's upside in surrounding yourself with a super duper duper team like KD did, because you can win the championship. And whether people think you stacked the deck or not, they start thinking of you differently. He didn't used to be called the best player in the world until he won championships, and he won them on a team that couldn't lose a championship. So there's upside, but there's also danger. There is downside, because you are not allowed to lose. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. KD is wearing the crown. He will get the credit. He will get the blame.
You're insane. Absolutely insane. He's not going to get the blame. This is a brother that had missed 18 months, the torn Achilles, comes back, and let me make sure I got his numbers right here. What did he average? He averaged 26.9 points per game, okay, on 45% shooting from three-point range, 53% shooting, with James Harden clearly hobbled and a shell of himself, and Kyrie Irving out. This brother drops 49 when I promised y'all he'd give you a fee. He dropped 50. He dropped 49 in the game 5.
Well, you need more accurate predictions.
This brother is such a superstar basketball player. Just won gold, brought home gold for Team USA because we know he took over, okay? European rules and all of this other stuff, Olympic rules. He said, the hell with that. I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am? You know who I am. That's what he did, okay? That's what he did. And here's the deal. When you look at James Harden, if you want to sit up there and talk about KD and it's on him because he's responsible for bringing everybody together, remember, Steve Nash ain't the coach if Kevin Durant doesn't approve, and James Harden and Kyrie ain't there if Kevin Durant doesn't approve. If that was the reason you were saying it, I get it. But in terms of just his game, everybody knows how surreal that brother is. The pressure is on James Harden and Kyrie Irving, okay? James Harden, love James Harden, but remember, he wanted out of Houston. They originally told him no. What does he do? He comes in, he's out of shape. He's not ready, even though he still could do things, even though he was out of shape and just a shell of himself. He wasn't himself. We know that. Kyrie Irving, head case, not to say that, and I don't mean that in a negative way, like the brother is doing big things off the court and engaging in a level of philanthropy that we should all applaud. But his mind being primarily on the game of basketball is always going to be a question mark for us watching him, particularly during the regular season, because during the postseason, he's usually ready, okay? In the end, we're all looking at them two. We ain't looking at Kevin Durant. We ain't worried about Kevin Durant. We know what we gonna get from him. It's the other two. And you yourself said, Max Kellerman, for years, James Harden, he played smaller in the postseason than he did in the regular season, and pressure's on him. So I don't know how you could come up with Kevin Durant now when James Harden is his teammate.
Because this is KD's team. History will record this. If they win, as him being the best player on a championship team. If they lose, it's KD's Nets that lost when they had no chance to lose if they were healthy. If they somehow lose, it's on KD.
Yep.
And if not, if we're saying not, then we all have to acknowledge that there is a different standard for LeBron. If you're saying there's a different standard, then you should just admit LeBron's still the best player in the game.
No, I'm not going to admit that because I know what the hell I'm watching. But what I'm saying to you is this, Max, because LeBron is bigger than just the game of basketball. Kevin Durant wants to hoop all day, every day, even though he's got 35 ventures and he's doing a lot of things in the business world. He's really just a hoop. He's really perceived as just a hooper. LeBron James is an iconic figure that's viewed as transcending the sport. And more importantly, with Kyrie and James Harden, because they are who they are. We don't ignore them. They don't fly under anybody's radar. They're that big themselves.
LeBron is
That's
expected
the issue.
Every time he has a chance to win the championship. If LeBron was on an unbeatable super team, and once it was perceived he was, first year in Miami, he never heard the end of it. It wasn't Wade, it wasn't Bosh, it was LeBron who never heard the end of it. And this team has a chance to be much better than that Miami team. KD will never hear the end of it.
That would be because of what LeBron brought on himself, with all due respect. The number on the jersey he chose to wear, the fact that he arrived in Miami and before playing the game, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Those kind of things is what brought that extra attention on him. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just his game. It was the things he said.
KD,
Those are
he's
things
on
he said.
LeBron's level. I want to see him held to the same standard.
Okay, I don't mind that.
Here's
That's
what
nothing
I
wrong
want
with
to
that.
see,
Nothing
gentlemen.
wrong with that hope, that expectation. Nothing wrong
This is
with
what
that.
I want to see. There's 72 games in the regular season, right?
No, that was last year. I think it goes back to 82 this year.
Okay, so last year 72, right? 82 normal. They played together 14 games, including the playoffs. I just want to see these three play together.
No doubt.
Right? We
Healthy.
got cheated.
Amen.
Healthy and see that for sure. All right, we'll leave it there. When we come back, will it be Jameis Winston? Camp takes, let's do this. After 2 decades of Hall of Fame quarterback play and production for the New Orleans Saints, the franchise finds themselves in an unusual position, uncertainty as to who will be their starter, facing the dilemma of starting veteran Jameis Winston or the versatile Taysom Hill. Here's both of them on the Saints quarterback battle.
I think Coach Payton knows, who he has, his talent, and he's gonna call the right plays for us to execute that way. And so I just think you can't overcomplicate things. And for me, you just come out and be who I've always been and make plays.
I think the competition makes both of us push ourselves, and it's great for the team, to be able to be around two guys that they support and that they're leaning on to be well for them, regardless of who's their quarterback. I played pretty good football in the NFL like once upon a time, so I'm just excited to get back to doing that, and I'm grateful that I get a chance to be one of those guys, so I'm looking forward to it.
Max, would you say that the Saints quarterback battle actually says more about Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston?
Clearly Jameis Winston. Talk about a trick question. Former #1 overall pick. Guy who, by his second season, had 28 touchdowns to 18 interceptions. Not setting the world on fire, but with a big arm for a 9-7 team. A lot of people were thinking, hey, can Jameis, take that next step, become an MVP caliber player the next season? No, that didn't happen. No, Jameis Winston, Stephen A., Jameis Winston, not that long ago, we were asking the question, should he be paid at the top of the market for a long-term deal and be the face of the Bucs franchise? The answer was a resounding no, and now he's fighting for a starting job on a really good team, but against a guy, and I love Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is an excellent running back, he's a good receiver, and he can play quarterback. But a lot of people think of him as a glorified gadget player. I think that's a bit unfair, but still, certainly, he's 30 years old. He's had a lot of time to get a job at quarterback. It hasn't happened yet, right? So he's not a great quarterback. He can play the position. And that's who Jameis Winston is in a death battle for the starting position. Of course, this says more about how Jameis Winston has fallen.
Okay. I think it says more about how Taysom Hill has fallen. Here's why. Let me explain. He's 30 years of age. All of that stuff is true. But damn, he was behind Drew Brees. We understood why he wasn't playing. When Drew Brees went down, Sean Payton decided not to put in Jameis Winston. He decided to put in Taysom Hill as a starter. Taysom Hill in those 4 starts went 3-1. He completed 72% of his passes. On the season, he was the 3rd leading rusher for the team with 457 yards rushing behind Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. When you take all of those things into consideration, once upon a time, we were talking about this brother as the heir apparent. We looked at him and we said, whoa, look at him. He's got some wheels on him. He can throw the football. He seems to be talented. I'm saying, why are we sitting there talking about Jameis Winston? What about Taysom Hill? What the hell is going on with him? Why is it that Sean Payton can't make a decision about you when you were the guy that started 4 games last year once Drew Brees went down? What has happened? I think that's a legitimate question, and I don't think we should be throwing shade on Jameis Winston. I think we should be looking at Taysom Hill and saying, what's missing, bro? What's missing?
Well, it was an outside-the-box thought that Sean Payton had. And, Stephen A., you remember Super Bowl week, we were doing shows, and where were we doing shows? I'm trying to remember. Was this 2 years ago? I guess it was in Miami.
At the Clevelander.
That's right.
That was fun.
At the Clevelander. That's exactly right. It was.
When life was still normal.
And Sean Payton, I was saying, I asked him, really? The stuff you're saying on TV, really? And he had what's in it for him to convince us off camera that, Taysom Hill, I think, is Drew Brees' heir apparent.
So what happened?
But that was an outside-the-box kind of thought. Wait, Taysom Hill, a 28-year-old running back receiver guy,
you're making
a gadget
my point.
player, is going to be quarterback? In other words, For Taysom Hill not to grab that job and have a stranglehold on it is understandable.
Max.
It was a reach to think he was going to be a franchise quarterback.
No,
but the
it was a reach.
Overall draft
It was a reach for you.
Not for
Sean
you?
Payton, Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, wasn't just last year when we were hanging out in South Beach. When he joined us when we were out there and he came on the show, he was talking about Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is, wait a minute now. You were talking, this is pre-COVID. He was talking about Taysom Hill being the heir apparent to Drew Brees before he started in 4 games last year. Then he started in the 4 games. You go 3-1. How the hell we go from there to Taysom Hill having a problem beating out Jameis Winston?
That was
happened?
against Teddy Bridgewater, who was going to get too expensive. They were going to have to lose him.
Teddy
Jameis wasn't
Bridgewater.
available yet.
Forget Teddy Bridgewater. I'm talking about what he said. I'm talking about what Peyton said to us. I'm saying your points are valid in terms of what you asked Peyton. But when Peyton spoke to you, he might have been a gadget guy to you. He wasn't that way to Sean Payton. Sean Payton was raving about him. So what the hell happened?
What the hell happened is he's a decent quarterback who maybe they can do better. What happened to Jameis, who's supposed to be great?
So he wasn't what Sean Payton said.
Well, it remains to be seen.
That's
The battle's
what I'm
not
saying.
over.
I think they both weren't what they said. But we'll carry on here, guys. J.R. Smith, the college years. I am so for this. Going back to school, enrolling at North Carolina A&T. Max and Stephen A. dive into the positive after First Take. Stick around. You don't want to miss it. Good luck. J.R. Smith's athletic career didn't end after 16 years in the NBA. The 2-time NBA champion, who entered the league straight out of high school, is starting over at 35 years old. Smith enrolling in North Carolina A&T, a historically black university, and is considering competing for the school's Division I golf team. North Carolina A&T athletic spokesman Brian Holloway told ESPN that Smith is officially enrolled in school and has petitioned the NCAA to be eligible to play since he went straight to the NBA. Here's JR on his excitement for this next chapter.
This is very special. I can't wait to be a part of an HBCU family and to really have been embraced by everybody on campus so far. I can't wait to see the students and start going to some of the football games and start really, repping Aggie pride.
Stephen A., what does J.R. Smith going to NCA&T mean for HBCUs?
I'm highly disgusted. He went to the wrong damn school. He went to the wrong. He should have went
Always
30.
about you.
He should have went 30 minutes further to Winston-Salem State University. That's where he should be going. He should have followed CP3. Oh Lord, take that photo down. He should have went to my alma mater. Okay, he should have been a real Aggie pride guy.
Yeah, you
Aggie
big eyes, Stephen A.
I mean,
Big brown eyes.
he went to the wrong school. Okay, nah. Listen, let me be serious here. First of all, I have very, very fond memories of my time at Winston-Salem State going to North Carolina A&T.
Oh, God. Why does your voice change when you tell me this?
It's a very, very special place at North Carolina A&T.
The facilities like the library, or what are you talking about exactly? The gym?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too, Max. Yeah, that
food
too.
court?
That too, Max. That
What
too.
is wrong with him?
It's a special place. Okay, that's number one. Number two, in extreme seriousness, I'm proud of my brother going back to school, getting his education in liberal arts. That brother can golf. I've heard a lot of things about his golf game. Matter of fact, I plan on reaching out to JR and Steph and all of them to help me with my golf game because I'm getting my own clubs made, y'all. I'm gonna be Stephen A. gonna do that golf. I'm gonna do that golf. I'm serious. I'm getting clubs made and everything.
And all your free time. You know how long it takes, right?
My man Michael Wilbon is helping me. CP3 is helping me.
When are you gonna find time to golf 18 holes? What are you talking about? What world?
Well, Max, I mean, it's Southern California, Max. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of golf courses, man, country clubs and all that stuff. I think I could find the time. I think I could find a little time to squeeze it in. Nice
brand
sunshine.
new he is, country clubs.
But back to Jay.
Country club.
But back to Jay. Well, I mean, you got that's the ones with the best golf courses. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not a member, but they're gonna let me in.
That's next.
Brothers teaching me. But here's the deal. J.R. Smith going back for his education. He's a 2-time champion, former 6th Man of the Year award winner. You know, I mean, and he's one of the, listen, you know, he could be a bit temperamental at times and stuff like that, but he's one of the most genuinely good dudes in the NBA, and I'm really proud of him. I'm really happy for him, and the brother can play some golf, and it's going to be really nice to see.
You got to say, I, like when Vince Carter went back, remember, and he was still active at the time, but you hear a lot of players, I'm going to finish my degree whenever. Who's passing up millions of dollars in the draft? You got to be crazy. Of course you're going to take the money. And then it gets hard to go back. You get older, and you're living comfortably, and it takes effort. So my hat is off to the fact that he's doing this, my hat's off to him. The value of a liberal arts education at this level. It's not just, well, I can go get a job. It's not just that. Does he need the money, right? No. It's about becoming a more fully formed human being.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound condescending and say I'm proud of him, but that's kind of the feeling you get.
Yes.
And the fact that he chooses an HBCU is also an important decision and an important example to set. My hat's off to him.
Yeah.
And
I think
again,
you should
in all
never stop
seriousness,
learning.
and again, in all seriousness, there's a hell of a lot worse places to go than North Carolina A&T.
He can't help himself.
I'm just saying.
Just roll the bump. I can't even look at him right now.
I'm just
He's
saying.
a little out of control. It's not Friday yet. You just relax, okay? We got fired up. The Jets have high expectations for their second overall pick, Zach Wilson. But reports out of camp are there been some growing pains. New head coach Robert Saleh had an interesting comparison when talking about his rookie quarterback's early struggles. Listen up.
For most rookies, especially on the offensive side of the ball, for everyone, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It is what it is. There's just a lot of things that happen. I mean, there's a reason why being a rookie is hard in this league. There was a Hall of Famer yesterday that was inducted in that had a 71 quarterback rating his rookie year. It's not easy to play quarterback in this league as a rookie.
Hard not to root for him. We welcome in two-time Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland. Boog, good morning. Thank you for being with us. Well, it's almost afternoon at this point. I'm going to start with you, Booger. Do you think Sal is reaching with the comparison and mentioning Peyton Manning?
Well, I think what he's talking about is just how Peyton Manning struggled his rookie year. I think he threw 28 interceptions, and just how that Peyton Manning struggled early on, but he went on to have a Hall of Fame career, 5 MVPs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think what he's trying to do is limit the expectations, because during the whole draft process, we all are talking about Zach Wilson and comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. He's got an electric arm. He can throw the football from all different angles, off platform, all the jargon we heard during that time. So the expectations in New York are for him to come in and maybe not win, but he's got to show you the talent level that we've seen and that we saw early on from the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, some of the recent young quarterbacks. So I think this is more an attempt by Saleh to say, okay, he's going to be good. Okay, we know the talent is there. He's going to be really good, maybe even great one day. But let's temper the expectations early on. You'll see flashes of the talent, but at some point, he's going to do what all rookies have done, even the greatest maybe of all time in Peyton Manning, who struggled mightily as a rookie. So I like what he's doing. Limit the expectations, undersell, overproduce. That's what all these coaches should do for their young quarterbacks.
I think it's totally fair. I think the comparison is fair, and I'll tell you why. Now we know Peyton Manning's one of the greatest who ever played any sport, right? But at the time, he was just another first-round draft pick. Number 1 overall, and was going to be him or Ryan Leaf. But I got news for you. If Peyton came out in the same draft as Trevor Lawrence, he'd have gone second, just like Zach Wilson went second. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is going to be better than Peyton Manning. I'm talking about the hype around these guys coming out.
Where the hell did you get that from?
Trevor Lawrence is the most hyped quarterback in terms of checking every single box of my lifetime. I would say the only.
Remember what Peyton Manning was like?
Then you must be 23 years old. Then you must be 22, 23 years old.
I do remember Peyton Manning. I remember
Peyton Manning and that hype?
Of course, Peyton Manning was hyped. So was Andrew Luck. I don't think anyone came out as a better quarterback prospect than Trevor Lawrence. But I don't want to get into a side argument about that. The point is, he was drafted very, very high, right? Wow. Zach Wilson, for a reason. If Trevor Lawrence didn't exist, he'd have gone first overall, it looks like. Okay. Who has he been compared to? By people on this network. David Pollack, Ryan Clark. By the way, Jim Mora. A lot of people compared Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Even at first, if they're like, what, you're making that comparison? They went and watched, film and said, oh, yeah, I can see it. Now, Mina Kimes was on this show months and months ago saying, because I did the same thing. I YouTubed it. Oh, my God, maybe he should go before Justin Fields. This kid's great. And Mina pointed out, Booger, that look, he's playing with a great offensive line against defenders, not like he's going to see in the NFL, and these are some of his growing pains. But if we're just saying based on talent, expectations, draft position, etc., is it fair to make that comparison? It is fair.
I believe it's fair as well because, like Booger said, I wasn't taking it in a literal sense. What he's saying is that if one of the greatest, if not the greatest, you call Peyton Manning the greatest regular season quarterback, Max, in NFL history, okay? We all know that he was worthy of his Hall of Fame induction. He's one of the greatest ever. So if one of the greatest ever, who was so brilliant that offensive coordinators didn't even call the plays, they left it up to him pretty much his entire career. When you're that great, but in your first year in the National Football League, you had 26 touchdowns and threw 28 interceptions, okay? The fact of the matter is that what Salah was saying is that if somebody like that is going to make those mistakes, we should expect that from any rookie. That's all he was saying. That's where the comparisons start and stop. In other words, don't expect this guy to come out looking like, a polished individual. He's going to have some rough edges. He's going to have some tough times, and that's just the way that it's going to go. Me personally, the only thing that I would say to Salah is that if you feel high enough for him, if you feel that high for him, and one would argue that you do since he was picked number 2 overall, even though we all remember Ryan Leaf was also picked number 2 overall, so let's not forget that. All right, Jamarcus Russell was once picked number 1 overall. Let's not forget that. In the end, what it comes down to is the franchise and the culture and the personnel that you surround that player with. And I'm looking at this Jets roster, and let me just give you some names. Jamison Crowder from Washington, we know about him. Denzel Mims, we'll learn about him. Corey Davis came over from Tennessee. We know a little bit about him. Keelan Cole comes over from Jacksonville. We know a little bit about him. Their running back, forgive me if I don't pronounce the name correctly. I'm just reading. I don't know. I apologize if I don't pronounce it correctly. Lamical Perrin. And then, of course, Tevin Coleman. All I'm trying to say to you is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Booger, any of those names move you? Any of those names jump out at you and makes you say, Buffalo, Miami, New England, y'all better watch out. Y'all better watch out now. Is there any name that I threw out there that makes you say, they're going to make Zach Wilson look really, really good? The answer would be no. And all I'm trying to say is we don't know whether that's true or not. Give the guys a chance. Let them show what they got. But in the end, when I think about a quarterback, I think about the system and I think about the personnel that you're playing with. Because especially when you're a rookie, that's going to have a hell of a lot to do with your success or lack thereof.
Stephen, I think you make a good point about the players around him. As far as the system is concerned, we talked about the system in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan being the best system for a young quarterback to come into. And we said Trey Lance is in a really good position. Well, let's not forget that Mike LaFleur is coming over and he's the offensive coordinator for the Jets. So if the 49ers system is the best, then the guy that's bringing the 49ers system to the Jets has to have a really good system also. So I think Zach Wilson is going to be in really good shape. The talent is not great, but I do think, unlike some of the other rookie quarterbacks in this league, present and past, he's going to be in a really good position to succeed because they're going to take advantage of what he does well, which is use his athleticism, get him in those off-platform situations where he can use that Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers-like arm. So I do think he's not going to struggle as much as Peyton Manning did his rookie year. But come on, man, it's the National Football League. All rookies are going to struggle, but he won't do it as much as some of those guys.
You know who doesn't struggle? You know who doesn't struggle? The rookies who don't play. Patrick Mahomes didn't struggle as a rookie because he didn't play. And then his second year, he took the world by storm. Here's the thing about Zach Wilson and the way the Jets are doing it. I don't care what he does this year. This year's not what it's about. The Jets went about this exactly right. And when they drafted Vera Tucker, Boog, and Stephen A., I was like, oh, that is really smart. They have Becton. They have like a great young left tackle. They put a guy who's like can't miss at left guard. And now the left side of that line is set with a young dynamic quarterback. They're not ready to do anything in the AFC East this year. They're going to be in last place by a whole lot. But going forward, if you have a quarterback and an O-line, you're in business, and I think they do.
You need stop it. Stop it. Damn it, you were born in the Bronx. You were born in the Bronx. You live in New York City at least half the time now. You know New York, okay? Being in the New York market's a little bit different. You can sit up there and say, well, you know, he's not going to do anything this year, and I get that part from a literal sense. But don't act like doing nothing in New York in year one just because you a rookie and you got a new head coach, and it doesn't matter in the New York market. Because that has crushed.
Addressing that. He's already managing that.
Wait. I'm addressing it. I'm saying it's crushed a lot of souls. You've seen it, Max. You've witnessed it. Booger, you've witnessed it. There are dudes, because we talking about the mental. I get tired of everybody just looking at people's physical ability. There are people who shrink mentally because of the environment.
But we don't know that until we see it. We can't assume that one way or another. We got to see it. That's
a reason to be concerned if you're sticking up the joint.
It's going to be rough sledding as a rookie for Zach Wilson. We'll see how he reacts to the New York media.
I'll leave you with this. I shared this yesterday. It's unbelievable. Since 2000, the Jets have used 7 first or second round picks on a quarterback. 7, the most in the NFL during that span. I sure hope Zach Wilson sticks. Boog sticking around here with us. When we come back, plenty more. Urban Meyer is leading his first NFL training camp after years of success in college football. Here's what Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson had to say about Meyer's transition to the league. Quote, I think he wanted the challenge of professional football. He's accomplished everything that he could accomplish in college football, so he wants the challenge of professional football. Booger McFarland back here with us. Max, Urban trying to right the ship of last year's worst team with the #1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. Who's under more pressure, Meyer or Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. It would be Urban Meyer under normal circumstances, but as I was saying in the previous segment when Stephen A. and Booger jumped on me for talking about the hype around Trevor Lawrence compared to Peyton Manning, it's not the amount of media attention I'm talking about or mainstream media attention. I'm talking about as a prospect. Trevor Lawrence is considered a perfect prospect. He does have, including mobility, right? Like stuff that even Peyton didn't have. Size, pedigree. He's won a national championship. And he did it in a blowout, right, as a young player. The year after Deshaun Watson, by the skin of his teeth, in a blowout, was with surgical precision, has done things like thrown interceptions the next year and then chased down guys in the open field and tackled them. He is a football player with size, speed, and arm, intelligence, pedigree, championship, the whole thing. Let's put it this way. Everyone agrees there hasn't been a prospect like this on paper since at least Andrew Luck. You got to go back like a decade. There's more pressure on Trevor Lawrence.
Well, Max, I'm going to disagree. I think there's more pressure on Urban Meyer. If you think about, #1, the college coach coming to the NFL, you think about a guy that's been out of the profession for a few years. And on top of that, when he gets back in, he's trying to do things from an unconventional standpoint. He's already made some mistakes, some would say. If you look at the hiring of the strength coach, Chris Doyle, who ultimately had to turn around and that guy had to resign, the controversial signing of Tim Tebow. So he's trying to do things differently than the norm. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you come in and you upset the apple cart, especially when you are a very successful coach on a collegiate level, there's a lot of pressure on you because people want to know, very similar to Nick Saban, can you get it done at the professional level? Nick Saban couldn't get it done. Nick Saban went back to college and he's one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest college coach of all time. So Urban Meyer is trying to do something that even the great Nick Saban could not do, which is succeed on the professional level. To me, if that's not pressure, then what is? On top of that, he's coming to an organization that got to the precipice of going to the Super Bowl, less than 5 or 6 years ago when they lost the game in the AFC Championship game in New England, and it's been downhill since then. So they've seen from a talent standpoint what it takes. They tore it back down under his guidance, and now they're trying to build it back up, and he handpicked his quarterback. So if you look at Urban Meyer, the greatest college coach of all time, some would say, based on his record, if you look at what he did, he came to the National Football League, he handpicked his quarterback, he's doing things from an unconventional standpoint. If that doesn't say pressure to me, Max Kellerman, then what does it say? He's under the most pressure, way more than Trevor Lawrence, especially if we're saying that the rookie quarterbacks are going to struggle anyway, like we talked about in the previous segment with Zach Wilson. So Trevor Lawrence isn't under any pressure right now. It's all on Urban Meyer's shoulders.
Booger McFarland, for the first time that you've been on this show, I'm actually going to accuse you of being a bit unfair. I really think that you're actually unfair in what you just said. And let me explain why that is. Number one, let's understand something.
Please do.
Let's understand something here. Long term, when you look at Urban Meyer, he may be the one under the most pressure. Not immediately. The immediate pressure is on Trevor Lawrence. Okay? And the reason why I'm accusing you of being unfair, you know good and damn well, don't say he handpicked Trevor Lawrence. If Urban Meyer had passed on picking Trevor Lawrence, he'd have been the first coach in NFL history fired before he coached the game. He got fired. He got fired the night after the draft or the night of the draft. He had no choice but to draft. There's no way in hell Urban Meyer could have drafted anyone else but Trevor Lawrence with all the hype coming out. You know, Shad Khan and ownership for Jacksonville Jaguars, they'd have fired him before he coached the damn practice. It's just that simple, okay? And you know better than that, Booger. So he didn't have a choice. Trevor Lawrence, is probably why he took the job to begin with. But you know, taking the job, Trevor Lawrence was going to be the number one overall pick. We all knew that, okay? Now, if you're Urban Meyer, be clear, you playing with house money. Y'all were 1-15 last year. You got to build this ultimate team sport. You got offense, defense, special teams. You got a 53-man roster. You got about 85, 90 people in camp. You got a practice squad. You got all of this other stuff. You got to pull together. You're a rookie head coach on a professional level. You got a rookie quarterback. Ain't no Jalen Ramsey's there anymore or anybody, Leonard Fournette or anybody like that. Those days have gone. Calais Campbell as well. Those days have come and gone. They all gone, okay? So you're literally building from the ground up with a team that went 1-15 last year. I think when you look at Urban Meyer, what we're going to look for is the development of Trevor Lawrence, and we're going to see what you're building. And as long as you win a few more games, I think that you'll be fine. Long term, the pressure is going to be meaning year 2, year 3, year 4. That would be on Urban Meyer. But this season, right here, right now, from opening tap, we're going to expect to see some special things from Trevor Lawrence. Maybe not that's going to generate wins immediately, but we're going to need to look at that quarterback and see a distinct difference between him and Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, even Mac Jones.
And keep in mind,
you're going to expect to see those differences. That's what we're going to be looking for.
Keep in
mind,
ain't
about Urban Meyer. That's about Trevor Lawrence.
Trey Lance it could easily take over. Garoppolo gets hurt a lot, and Trey Lance could take over an excellent team with a great offensive head coach. Real quick, Booger, we all know what the pressure is on Trevor Lawrence. It's that man right there. It's that man on the split screen right there. Let me tell you the line. I'm anticipating it already. Don't let Trevor Lawrence have more shampoo commercials than wins. Because that will be the line that you hear on this show. More shampoo commercials than wins.
That was good. You're right.
But we all know. Know he's going to be the
Stephen
number
A.
one product pusher for shampoo. Ain't no question about that. Ain't no every hair commercial. I don't know if any other athlete will get a hair commercial other than Trevor Lawrence. I don't think they will.
Hey, listen, Stephen A. Let me turn turn the volume down in your voice so you can hear me real quick. How long has Urban Meyer been out of coaching? Urban Meyer was out of coaching a long time. So when I say he handpicked Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer chose this year to come back knowing that Trevor Lawrence was coming out in the draft. So did he handpick him per se, saying that there was somebody else that he could have drafted number 1 overall? No, he didn't. But Urban Meyer could have got back in coaching a long time ago. Urban Meyer is on record as following Trevor Lawrence's career. So he timed his arrival to the pro game up the year that Trevor Lawrence came out. Do we think that was by coincidence?
No.
I don't believe in coincidences, Stephen A. Smith. That is timed up perfectly by Urban Meyer. So that's what I mean by he handpicked him.
Okay, fair enough. That's what you meant. Fair enough. I appreciate the clarification. But don't get slick on me because you're very, very knowledgeable about the NFL. You know your football. You know good and damn well that Urban Meyer was interested in that Cowboys job. You know that. You could,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know that. All right then. So it wasn't waiting for Trevor Lawrence. He wanted that Cowboys job. It was Jerry Jones that didn't want to give it to him because he wanted somebody that was, as Max would say, that, he could influence a little bit more and wasn't dogged about holding on to his own decision-making power. So don't give me the Trevor
Enter Mike
Lawrence
McCarthy.
stuff. That's number one.
And the Steelers are in Philly to take on the Eagles. All four teams have questions when it comes to their quarterbacks. Will Cam Newton bounce back? Big Ben bounce back from last season? And why Jalen Hurts, Ryan Fitzpatrick, will they step up in their new role? So quarterback play in question here. What's an NFL team that is a good quarterback away from contending, Stephen A?
I'm going to say the Chicago Bears. That's what I'm going to say. I think about their defense, and I think that whatever struggles they had on the defensive side of the ball last year was a direct byproduct of what was transpiring with their offense, particularly at the quarterback position. The combination of Nick Foles with Mitchell Trubisky combined, they threw for was it 4,000 yards. All right, but they weren't getting it done, and we all know that. And as a result, it hampered the defense and put them in precarious positions throughout the season. Their defense is a championship caliber defense as far as I'm concerned. They can make things happen, led by the Mac Daddy himself, Khalil Mack. I believe in them, and I believe they could do some things if they get any kind of production whatsoever from their quarterback position. And as an aside, Max, I want to tell you and Molly one of the most hilarious things I read this morning.
What?
And it was a quote from Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky,
yes.
that dude, where he said up there, it's nice to be in a place where you feel wanted.
He said this a couple days ago. Yep.
I was eating. He said it, but I didn't see the quote until last night, Max. I almost choked on my food. I was laughing so hard because I'm like, let me get this straight. You were a starting quarterback, right? And you talk about feeling wanted. Well, you in Buffalo as the backup. And backing up a dude that just signed a 6-year, $258 million contract, which means you're going to be holding the clipboard.
Wait, Stephen A., and they traded the whole farm to draft him,
Yeah,
too.
they moved
Let's
up.
not forget that, right?
They passed on Mahomes and Watson to draft him.
That's all I'm trying to say. All I'm
Talk
trying to say
about
is you feel wanted being a backup that's going to be holding the clipboard unless Josh Allen gets injured after being the starter. That's your definition of being wanted? I know plenty of people that wanted you under those conditions. They didn't want you as a starter, but they wanted you under those conditions. So I just found that to be comical. I really did.
I know a lot of people are high on Fitzpatrick and his ability to lead an explosive offense in Washington. They have more playmakers on offense. They have a great defense in Washington. But if Fitzpatrick is your quarterback, maybe he's a starter, but he's not a franchise quarterback. If Ryan Fitzpatrick's your quarterback, it's because you can't find a franchise quarterback. And if the Washington football team had a guy who said, that dude's a franchise quarterback, I think they'd make a playoff run this year. As is, I don't know that they make the playoffs. We'll see. They have a great defense. And then the other pick, by the way, which is why there's so much pressure on Carson Wentz, is the Colts. If the Colts had a good quarterback,
They do.
They're a Super Bowl
They have
threat.
Carson Wentz.
Really? So they're in the hunt for the Super Bowl this year?
All right, maybe not the Super Bowl, but
Well,
they have a good quarterback.
That's what he said. Are they one for contending for a Super Bowl?
Could you put the Saints in there?
No question. No question. The Saints are a quarterback